Good evening. This is a special meeting of the Hollister City Council on October 2nd, 2023. The meeting is now called to order. It is 5:30 p.m. City Clerk, are there any public comments on closed session?
Mayor Casey, there are no public comments for the closed session item.
Great. City Attorney, can you announce the closed session?
Yes, item number 1, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency designated representatives, City Manager David Maroney and Administrative Services Director Casey Astorga. Employee organizations and represented employees and classifications designated as executive management.
May I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. That's okay. All right. So this is a regular meeting of the Hollister City Council. Meeting is now called to order. It is 6:40 PM. Councilmember Burns, can you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Ready to begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, could you please call roll?
Councilmember Perez,
Present.
Councilmember Resendez,
Present.
Councilmember Morales, Councilmember Burns,
Here.
Mayor Casey.
Here.
I'd also like to report that the agenda for the City Council of the City of Hollister special and regular meetings of October 2nd, 2023 was posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on September 28th, 2023 at 5:29 PM for Government Code Section 54954.2. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to read a quick script here. I need to address the manner and decorum of our meetings and issue a warning in this regard. Meetings must be in orderly and efficient manner without willful disruption so that the business of the city can be conducted. While the council is more than willing to listen to comments from the public, it must be done at the appropriate time and should be done at the podium with microphones so your words can be heard and recorded properly as part of the meeting. There cannot be interruptions when council members are speaking or audience members calling names, chanting, or yelling out. If you do so, a warning will be issued to you, and if behavior continues, you may be asked to leave the chambers. If there's too much disruption from members of audience, depending on severity, it may be necessary to call a recess, clear the chambers, or even cancel the meeting. I'd like to ask for your courtesy and cooperation in this regard, so it won't be necessary to take any of these steps. Thank you. City Attorney, do we have reportable action from closed session?
Nothing to report, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. So our first item is the Growing Hearts presentation. City Manager, were you going to introduce?
Yes, please, Mayor. We have Rob Rodriguez from Growing Hearts, Executive Director, and Paul's getting the presentation queued up. Mr. Rodriguez, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, our city manager for, hooking me up with this opportunity to speak with you about our labor of love. Can I use that? Yeah. Awesome. Right. High tech. All right, so I'll start with an introduction about Growing Hearts. So Growing Hearts is a nonprofit that was formed to deeply integrate special needs adults into their community. This need was seen, by parents and concerned community members that had special needs adults that they were working with or living with, that they were concerned about their future, in the community. And so what we do is we offer employment training opportunities currently, with the goal of eventually opening up a space where they can live and work together with, the community and on beautification projects. And so that encompasses where we started. We did one of our first projects was the food bank garden. And that's a demonstration garden for small space gardeners, something, that relates to the people who take advantage of the food bank. We work up at Park Hill. Obviously, we've been doing that for a while. And that's kind of the focus of my presentation tonight, just because of how important I think it is to us and to the community. And one of our newer projects is building the garden in the county jail, which we don't really have special needs adults working there. They work a lot on the outside to prep for the work that I do on the inside with the inmates. And then just one little piece I would like to add about that is that we don't test any of our participants in the jail to see if they have a learning or a developmental disability, but it is the data is that 2/3 of incarcerated males have a learning disability and about half of incarcerated females have some kind of learning disability. So that's kind of where we fit in to a program like that. So again, Park Hill. So what we do up at Park Hill, again, career training, community integration. I think we started up there because we didn't have a location. So it was important to us to have somewhere where we could have our special friends meet with us and work together with them. And so the community garden up there was pointed out to us by Robin Pollard, and she was nice enough to give us a plot. And we've used that as our outdoor classroom for the last, I think we're close to 7 years now. So the community garden was perfect for our mission of community integration. So I have a picture here of our garden plot. This is the plot when we were first beginning work about 5 years ago on the specific plot. You know, we did a lot of things beforehand, not in the ground, and then we really started to renovate. This is a picture of it in about 5 years ago, and then last year in the middle of summer. So you can see, you know, the infrastructure, so to speak, is different, and then also just the health of the ecosystem that we've created. We've got the wildflowers, we've got onions, we've got chard, we've got a lot of things that grow really well in that small space. Here's another picture of that same spot from the other side. So again, 5 years ago, and then last year in the middle of summer. So you get to see the progression there. We've got some cabbage there up front, some cornflowers. There's you can't really tell in the picture, but it's a ribes. It's a native gooseberry plant that's right there in front next to that stake. And then our beautiful apricot tree. So what we've been able to accomplish here at the garden is, or at the garden at Vista Park Hill, is to build our community. So the picture there, we've got Mason Churchill, who is our primary recipient of services from Growing Hearts. And then we've got Marissa Cazares, who is a participant in our farmers market program. And then another young individual, I believe his first name is Adrian. I can't remember his last name, but those two came to see us from the life skills class. We partnered with the life skills class at the high school, and we had them up there, a ton. And so again, building community was one of the most important parts. So community garden, building community, it worked perfectly. We wanted to create a restorative space. And so in doing that, we've had lots of different groups, lots of different community conversations. I say restorative space. We, for a long time, facilitated conversations where people were learning English, Spanish speakers were learning English by learning about gardening and climate, or environmental topics. And so that was important, recognizing our abilities. And so that's something that's really big in our program. We've all got disabilities. I've got them. I'm sure, a lot of people can admit to having some kind of, weakness at least, and so we recognize our abilities, the things that we are able to do, the things that we are able to accomplish. And that's something that happens in the garden. And then again, make significant contributions to our community. And that has come through, what I'll talk about later in the development of the gardens, and how we've really grown since we've been up there. So a quick picture with community up top left corner, we've got Joseph Francis. Joseph has been working with us since we started the nonprofit, and he's still a weekly worker with us. To the right of him, Cooper Aiello. Cooper works with us at the farmers market, but here he was with us in the garden working. Bottom left corner, we've got Isaiah. Isaiah was with the life skills class. And I really like that picture because you get, that beautiful view in the background as well, where you can see how nice it is up there on the hill. The young man to the right of him was a volunteer with LULAC, and he came up and was doing a bunch of work with us. And then the big picture, we've got, his name's Max, right, Adam? Max there. And one of our founders, Chris Evans, and that's all volunteer work in the garden. And there's our life skills class again. We partnered with them for almost 2 years, and we're hoping to get them back up at the garden. It's been since the pandemic that they have been kind of hesitant to get back out there with us, but before that time they were really involved. And then I have here just a big long list of people in the community, small business, larger business, that have contributed to the Hill in one or more ways, either materials, money, anything that they can give. So I just felt the need to include this. This list is probably, a third of the actual amount of people who have given to the Hill. And so it's just something, this was a presentation I actually made to be given last year, and then we never got the opportunity. So again, thank you, Dave, for bringing it up and allowing us to be here today. Since starting, we have expanded a couple projects. The first one that we expanded was the Podemos Succulent Garden, and that was a project that was initially intended to be done with LULAC, but the pandemic hit and it didn't really work out that way. It's still something that we're working on. It's still something that, we plan on finishing. The second project is the pollinator garden, and it's directly in line. All of the names of the projects are, together with where it's supposed to be. So that middle circle there is the pollinator garden. And then our most recent and one of our bigger projects there up on the hill is the restoration garden. And we'll see pictures of that one in a little bit. So as we expanded, it was important for us to make note of the reason why we're doing all of this. What are our goals? What do we want to do with the space? And this was something that we originally developed for the Podemos garden, but it continues through to our different pieces, our different expansions. So cultivate unity, obviously bring the community together around something that they really care about, and gardening, food. The community gardens are important for many reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that community gardens support people who are disadvantaged or in not a position to be able to afford organic, healthy food, and so that they can grow them themselves. And so enriching culture, have a rich culture, I would say predominantly Hispanic, but up at the Hill, we encourage everyone's culture. We have Peruvians up there that share all of their gardening techniques with us. We have people from all over the country that come to our garden. They live in the area, but they come to our garden to share any piece they have. Encourage sustainability. So again, that organic, providing for the future type gardening that we want to share with everyone. Increasing diversity. If you know about gardening, biodiversity is key. You want to have as many different pieces as you can, and that's something that we want from people too. The more advice, the more skills, the more diverse that our garden can get, the better it grows. Advocate for art. You'll see in one of our projects, the Podemos Succulent Garden, very art-based. It's a dream come true to have these steps, coming together for the art of the garden. We want to do a lot more things, add sculptures. We were really ambitious when we first started thinking about expansion. We wanted murals. It's going a lot slower than initially imagined, but we'll get there. And then to share history. So the Hill is a historic place. If you've been up there, the walls, the rock walls that are up there, no one knows for sure the exact historic value of them, but they are historic. They've been there for, I've had one historian up there, and by the look of the building, the one single building that still stands, he says the rock walls were probably put up at the same time as the building, and that's at least the 1940s. So project expansion, our restoration garden, we partnered with the Hollister Litter Project a couple of years ago to start this. This area was kind of hidden before when the buildings were still on the hill. When you go back, you can see the buildings are here in the picture, in between the top two circles. Those are no longer there. And so this area was it was still during that time when the buildings were there. It was really hidden. Nobody was getting to see it. Homeless people were living back there. A lot of illegal dumping was happening. It was the north side of the hill. And we did our initial cleanup in March 2021. And that was about 2,000 pounds of garbage. And then we did another one the next month, and it was another pound of garbage. And since then, I want to say we're at least 6,000 pounds. There's so much garbage back there. There's, if there's a fence back there that honestly, I'm sad I don't have a picture of it, because you can see the soil is about 4 feet from the ground, and you can look in the soil and see all of the garbage that is built up over the years. The fence is holding all of that up. And so, it's still something that is in the process. We're still trying to clean it. Again, it was previously homeless encampment, and now it's a community garden where we talk about many different things. We bring in families, we bring in different community groups, and we talk about, indigenous farming practices. We talk about organic farming practices, lots of things that the garden has been able to, provide. Here we have a couple city workers, couple dedicated city workers here helping us clean up trash. And they're actually standing next to that fence that I was talking about. That fence there it looks like it's only about 3 feet tall, but on the other side of it goes down about another 4 feet. And there's a lot of trash there. And this was one of our initial cleanups. The city was kind enough to donate their time, and Tina helped us with that one. They came out, and it's been a really good partnership with them. A couple of community volunteers that you can see here. These are our initial garden beds. These are the beds we put up to hopefully stop the illegal dumping. And these beds were built with materials that we found there. When we were cleaning out the garbage, we just went ahead and took those materials and turned around and made garden boxes the next day to try and keep people from backing trucks up and dropping off any other garbage. This is one of our first spots. This spot I like to call our food forest. You can see a tiny little sign on the first picture in the corner that says food forest. It was, again, an ambitious project in the beginning. You can see the little wet spots. Those are the berries that in the second picture have taken over, completely. They're blackberries, and they grow really good every year. They're delicious. That area we brought in soil. We were donated, I think it was 5 yards of soil from Z-Best. And then, so we had really healthy soil for this area. And this was one of our big projects. Pretty proud of. That's the same area, but from the top. And so you can see the difference just the year makes. Adding, like I said, organic farming practices. We added mulch, we added compost, and those plants just really took off. A similar area just to the left of there. And I just wanted to show the green, the way that it changed. Very simple, very small on the left, and just completely green the space on the right. This is us from the top. Again, I love the views from our garden. There along the hill's edge, those are all spaces that we offer to community members. So if you need garden space and that's what you're looking for, those spaces were relatively clean. There was not a lot of trash compared to the space that's closer to the bottom of the image, which is still, an important restoration project for us, building the soil back up from what it had been for so long. We've got a couple of chalkboards out there that, we share the vision of the hill, taking the views, pack your trash, the simple things that we want people to know. Up in the left corner, there's you can see an old horse trough that was donated to us. And just next to that is our native plant garden. So if you have any interest in native plants, there's a small corner in the garden where that's where they are. And in this specific garden, in our restoration garden, we've been able to have lots of different community groups. We had our green business meetings early on. We've had geologists there. We've had waste professionals. We had master gardeners. We've had recovering addicts come and volunteer with us. English language learners, like I said, we had that program going for a long time. Veterans, obviously our special needs community, and various religious groups that have come to us, looking for some way to give back. And so they come and they help in the garden. This is us with our green business meeting group, and we were bringing them down into the garden to give a tour. This is this man, Ken, I believe his name was. He worked for the landfill, and he was really instrumental when we were first there because he gave us a lot of advice about why the space looked like it did. He brought in his geologist friend, and he gave a lot of history of certain practices that could have happened there. And that's why we have this random flat piece of land that on the hill that can facilitate the garden. Our pollinator garden. This space is kind of special because it was really just dry and exposed, very harsh conditions. And we brought in plants that will survive in that. There's not a lot of plants that like to live underneath the California pepper tree. The pepper tree creates very acidic soils. So, we had to get creative with what we were going to do. And so there's, in this garden, there's art and there's flowers. So there's a lot of little pieces of art, you can see there's a pumpkin there. It's not really easy to see, but there's a little skeleton guy underneath the pumpkin, and there was a pumpkin that we grew in the garden and left him there. And so a lot of cool little art thing. And then a bee hotel where the bees can come and take a rest. Any native bees, not necessarily a beekeeper type situation, but somewhere where they can take a break and relax and then continue on their journey. And, here's again, you can see the way that the space is green since with, very early, probably 10 plants there, and then just, multiplied. Our Podema succulent garden, again, this was supposed to be done with LULAC, but then it ended up becoming a fully Growing Hearts project, student-based project. We wanted to do community plant donations, and then the professionals worked with the students as project mentors. That again didn't happen exactly as we hoped, but this area is another area in the garden that is it's topped off by pine trees and oak trees, and those really affect the chemistry in the soil. So it's not a great place for growing annual crops that you would consume. And so the succulents do really good, and they're really happy there. And that's something that's been growing over time. This was our first part of the art project, something that came really easily, being able to find a young artist, Nancy Nguyen. She came in from San Jose to help us with this. We worked with the San Benito Arts Council to get the funding to be able to pay her for the project. And it says there, Vista Park Hill Community Garden. And that just gives a new life to the stairs. When you walk past it, it's you can actually tell that there's something up there worth going to see. Before, it was really hard to notice that. I mean, there was a sign there that said the garden, but it, as you can see, it was very simple, and most people would walk right past it because it was very regular. And now we've got this beautiful, colorful entryway that draws a lot of attention. This is the next step in our project. We just had built this wall with San Benito Arts Council funds, and our next piece of that project is to decorate it with mosaics, just like this one. All mosaic tiles donated, and that space, eventually will become somewhere where we give community talks and have community meetings. In 2021, we adopted Vista Park Hill and the surrounding city land. That was really instrumental for us. I don't know, Tina can confirm. I think we were one of the first adopt a park organizations. So that was really great for us. And since then, we do cleanups up on the hill. This is this is the very top of the hill, a young family that came up to help us with the cleanup. And you can see the guy in the back. He couldn't help but resist throw a disc while he was up there helping to pick up trash. One of our great things that we do in the garden on the hill is our garden classes. And so we started those August 2021, and we're still going. We talk about very many different topics. You can see the worms here. Vermicomposting is one of my favorites because worms are so weird and people just most of the time don't want anything to do with them, but they're great for the garden. So there's a photo from our guy, Adam Bell, from one of our classes. This is our compost class where we're taking a look at the progress of our compost. This was our native plant gardening class. And so we talk about the importance of including natives. And then we went ahead and made what are called seed bombs out of clay and native plant seeds, poppies, lupins, and the showy milkweed, which is one of our local milkweeds that support monarchs. And we have fun getting muddy, and we talk about all the different plants So you can see I talked about our space needing to expand before. Almost every one of our classes now is full like this. It's really hard to get everyone in, but we do the best that we can. This was our Love for the Bugs class. I'm pretty sure there was a spider in that jar. So you can see the interest. Most of the time our class facilitates or supports the special needs community. So we have some of our special friends here sharing bugs with them. Our gardening for the birds, we built little bird boxes, which was really fun, getting them used to using tools, and then supporting the birds in our garden, explaining why they're important. And again, indigenous farming practices. This was one of our mound building classes, one of my favorites, because you just take a bunch of old garden litter and then bury it. And it's really easy. And if you do it right, it ends up looking really pretty when you plant up the soil on top. And then this one here was more of an art class, but we were making pavers for the garden. The super simple materials, concrete, donated tiles, and you can just see how happy it's making these guys there. They love it. And that was one of my favorite classes because I got to make a beautiful garden paver that I still have. And that is my presentation about Park Hill. I just have one short concluding statement, if you'll bear with me. None of the land that we've held our classes on or done restorative work has been parkland. It has all been public land. We need all of the public land on the hill to be designated parkland. We can't afford to lose the beauty and the uniqueness of the hill to a developer that has plans to build apartments. This council has an opportunity to preserve the hill for generations to come as Park Hill. Just last week, there was a beautiful ceremony commemorating the renovation of the baseball park on the hill. Now let's work together to extend the parkland like we did with the disc golf course, provide green space to our community, and expand our in-town trail system. Also show how much heart we have here in Hollister. If the land we had been working on for the last 5 years, close to 7 total, 5 years in the gardens, had been parkland, Growing Hearts would have been able to apply for hundreds of grants in partnership with the city to improve the space. Please, let's not miss out on any more of these opportunities. There's nothing better for the space than to be park. Let's start taking steps to make everlasting change for the community. If there ever was a council to do it, I believe that today I'm looking at them. Thank you for your time, and any questions you have, I'm open.
Thank you, Rob. Do we have any questions? Councilmember Resendez, any questions?
Thank you. So it looks nice. I just want to go out and say that I was there when they did the mosaic art piece. I know Nancy. She's very well known and renowned in San Jose. Her piece was actually, I thought this was interesting. All the different lunar phases were in there. So if you ever get up there, you could take a look at it. It's all the different lunar phases. I thought it was well thought out and really nice art piece. I am questioning though, we talked about this, I think when we did the disc golf throwing thing, right? Is this public land or is it private? Is it public or is it park? I'm so confused about that. And if it's public, what type of issues are we looking at as far as liability? We're allowing a nonprofit to go and to manipulate a public space. And if somebody gets hurt there, even if it was park, I'm wondering of what position that puts the city in. And do you guys have insurance? And what does your policy look like? So I guess that would be a city attorney question and a question for the speaker.
I can answer that. Part of our Adopt a Park is to insure the space. And so we have Vista Park Hill, insured on our insurance policy, which is a $2 million insurance policy. So
Yeah, so I bring it up with, we're building walls, right? They cement walls with mosaic art piece and they're beautiful. But what if somebody gets hurt out there on one of these mosaic walls that we're building? I'm just curious, how do we address those challenges?
Yes, I was just asking the city manager if there are any agreements with this nonprofit between the city and the nonprofit where there would be an indemnification provision. So we can look at that going forward.
Yeah, currently, the way that it's arranged is through the Adopt a Park program, which is more traditionally a bank adopts a park and their employees go out on a Saturday for 2-3 hours, pick up some volunteer hours, and then are out of the park. The great work that they have been doing in and operating out of there, I would say feels more like a leased space to operate a business. And so that's something we can look at in partnership with them and the agreement that's in place right now. Because they're doing great work, but I would not say it's under the traditional adopt a park methodology that normally you see with an adopt a park.
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. So first of all, thank you for the presentation. It's very informative. No, I support you 100%. I'm curious what your budget is for cleaning up public garbage. And I'm curious if there's not a way for the city to maybe make that a focus point, particularly of a nonprofit. They have limited income to begin with. And I'm sure that we could commit to cleaning that public space. And I'd also like to maybe see a higher level of enforcement to prevent it through our police department. So I think we can collaboratively do better, and I'd like to see that happen and know that I support you 100%. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Perez.
Robbie, you and your team, Adam, you guys are doing a great job up there. You know what, I've been to the north side. I've seen the garbage you bring out, what you're doing, but more than the land. You didn't bring anybody with you? Joseph, Cooper, and all the other lives you are impacting. It's seeing the smiles when they're out there on Wednesdays. I think you're doing great work with these adults. And I support you guys, and hopefully we'll see what comes down the pipe, but it's like, I'm so I admire you for your passion for helping other adults. That's what really, I guess, sticks out to me, is you're sacrificing to help others. And to me, that's like, good job, bro.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Great job. Always seeing you in a lot of different areas, and you do really good work. So thank you.
Thanks.
I second that. No, you guys do great work. I love seeing you at the farmer's market. I love your model of not just, gardening, although I have to say gardening is my passion. So I was digging it when you were talking about composting and worms, and just to be honest, but you're teaching business models to the your students, and how to run the succulent business at the market. And it's good on so many levels. And I'm so happy we have an organization like yours, and like everyone else, I support you guys 100%. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mayor Casey, we do have 2 public comments.
Do we?
this item.
Okay.
The first is
Thanks,
Robin.
everyone.
The first is Robin Pollard.
Good evening. I came down to support Growing Hearts. About 7 years ago, they came and asked me for a plot up in the community garden that I started 25 years ago this January. And I gave them a small piece, and before I knew it, they had half my garden taken over. So I encouraged them to expand. We've got this whole hill. There's lots to do. But they do a great job. They're really including the community. And I just wanted to say, regarding the insurance, when I first started the community garden, I was asked to pay $120 to have the garden up there. And the second year when I went down to pay it, they told me that they looked and it was already insured and they couldn't double insure it. So that's what they told me 24 years ago. But I'm sure it's changed, but they do a great job and the hill's so much better. And I'm so thankful for them. And I hope someday that everyone will love Park Hill.
Thank you.
The next public speaker is Adam Bell.
So I go to Park Hill pretty much every single day. Not every single day, but every week pretty much. Being up there is like almost like therapy to me. And seeing the views of Hollister, seeing the garden of what Growing Hearts has done over the years, it's incredible. Every day I go out there and go take pictures. I know when I don't have a car and I usually, if I can't go out in the country and it's raining or anything like that, I will go up the Park Hill and go take pictures because I know what my quiet place is at Park Hill. So I enjoy every bit of it. The views are incredible. I get pictures of the moon. It's actually kind of nice to get pictures of the moon there. I'm so grateful to have a garden. I mean, Rob has done so much and he has keep up the work with the garden. Every time I go up there and visit him, he puts in the work. He gets after it every time he's there. That's what Growing Hearts is all about. We want to keep going. We want to keep doing what we want to do, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next public speaker is Donnie B.
Hello, good evening. My name is Donnie B. Yeah, about the hill, about Park Hill. It's such an amazing place, such a beautiful place. And I've spent a lot of time there too, because I kind of live close by. But anyway, that place, first of all, amazing job with what you guys are doing at the hill. It's really great. Like the garden, the art, everything about it. The views, as you were saying, the views are spectacular. So it gives so much to the community, even people that just experience it by driving by and just even walking by it quickly through. I can't even imagine spending time there and growing things there. And again, creating art there. So it's one of the best gardens, public gardens, city gardens I've ever seen, to be honest. So I don't know what, it sounds like the insurance is taken care of, so that's a good thing. And there was some comment about development that definitely needs to stay, you know, a park. And so I think that that's our responsibility to make sure that we keep it a park. You know, it's a community park. It's a community garden. It's a place that people have. I'd like to know more about the history of it too. Someone was, and you were talking earlier about the buildings that someone, you know, since the 1940s, but I've also heard from other people who said that buildings even go farther back. And I also suspect that you didn't mention it, but it'd be cool if you brought an archaeologist, because I have a feeling that if archaeologists checked out the park and the whole hill, I bet you they'd find a lot of interesting things. But you have to make sure it's archaeologists that care enough to preserve what they find. So that's a tricky thing. But I'm just saying, I bet you the history of the hill goes back very, very, very far as an integral part of Hollister itself and the community and whatnot for a long time. So yes, thank you very much for the park and that presentation.
Thank you.
Those are all the public comments for this item.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our consent agenda. Do any members of the council have brief questions or comments on consent agenda? Anyone? No? All right. Are there any public comments on the consent agenda items? No. Do we have any items we wish to pull from the consent? No. All right. So then can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. 4-0. Okay. Hang on. Okay, we're going to move on to public input. This is the time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. If you're joining us via Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you're joining us via Zoom using a cell phone, please press *9. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any items not on the agenda. Do we have public comment?
Yes, Mayor Case, we have one. Donnie B.
Okay.
Those are all the public comments we have.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to city manager report.
Nothing to report.
Nothing this evening. Do we have any trainings and conferences to report about?
Yes, we do. So I'll start. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending the League of California Cities Conference in Sacramento. And they had a handful of different trainings available. And so as much as I would like to attend all of them, you have to pick. However, they do make all the presentations available afterwards, so through their portal, which is very nice. So I was able to attend sessions on downtown revitalization, housing law updates, fees and different types of fees and implementation and different strategies, as well as working on infrastructure projects. Additionally, there was a lot of talk around the bill that Mary and her team had mentioned, the Taxpayer Protection and Government Accountability Act that would be going on the ballot. So the League of California Cities will be providing more information for education purposes in the community. And they also were talking quite a bit about the California Assembly passing ACA 13, and that will help in the to essentially what that would do is allow for if ballot measures similar to the taxpayer one that I just mentioned to qualify for the ballot, those two would need a 2/3 majority to make the ballot. And so that had been going through it needs to now clear the Senate Elections Committee, but that was probably very close to happening. So very, very good conference. Mary did attend too, and she'll be able to give some input on that as well.
Quick question, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So they're looking at making it 2/3. What was it before?
So basically the way that it works is when you have a ballot initiative, depending on how the ballot initiative is worded, if you have a specific use for those funds, I'll do a real general example. If it's, we are going to raise taxes for law enforcement, and you're very specific, these are what the funds are going to be, they are dedicated to it, then you need a 2/3 on the vote. If it is a general tax obligation, if it's a general obligation, it's just going to be a tax that's going to go into the general fund, it's a majority, a simple majority. And so what this ballot initiative basically not only treats all things at the 2/3 level, but also is running an interpretation around things as such as fees. So an increase to when Tina has a karate class for $75, if that needs to go to $80 in 2 years, that could be something that goes to the vote. And so obviously that is something that it would be highly disruptive, and it is a big concern throughout the state. And Mary's firm provided that update a while ago, and we're tracking that. And so this other measure had come through as a way to say, well, if you're going to do that, then to get that on the ballot would require 2/3 as well.
City Attorney, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so I attended the same conference and had a chance to visit with Dave while I was there. Usually legal has a separate track. We can go to the other sessions if we'd like, but some of the courses I attended was one on artificial intelligence. We had our just a general municipal litigation update, talked about land use and CEQA, affirmatively furthering fair housing, talked about the unsheltered community, labor and employment, and then CalPERS matters. So it was very informative. Thank you.
Chief, do you have anything to report up?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Do we have any others?
Yes, Mayor Casey and Council, I want to report that Deputy City Clerks Daisy Caceres and Angie Gonzalez attended the Master Municipal Clerk Academy last week. We had various classes there such as records management, project management, contract processes and things such as that. So they attended that at Cal Poly Pomona last week.
So no others? Okay. And we're going to move on to a public hearing then, a public hearing of the City Council of the City of Hollister to review and approve the accomplishments produced from the city's 2020 CDBG 12015 Community Development Block Grant with the state of California. So can we have our staff report?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, Glenn March, City Engineer. Tonight, we're going to address the CBDG grant, which was used to support Hoveness in their efforts to provide Meals on Wheels and senior meals. The Hoveness has been able to serve about 240 residents. Most of them are senior and low income. Some are housebound, so they don't have the opportunity to go to the store and take care of themselves properly. So Hoveness has been there for those people, and they're a great community organization. So the grant total amount was $229,000. Meals on Wheels, $213,000 was used for Meals on Wheels. The grant was from 2020. It's an older grant. I just want to correct something I said in the past. At a meeting in May, I told you the city was working on an application for the next round of CBDG grants for supposed to be in July 2023. However, CBDG did not open the grant applications. So future CBD grants to support organizations like Hoveness are expected to come in the future. But we'll have to work on that in the future as they become available. If you have any, we also have Beth Todd from Adams Ashby Group, who has been a wonderful consultant supporting the city. She's available for questions if I'm unable to answer them. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. So do we have any questions from council? Councilmember Resendez?
Thank you. I'm just wondering if we're not going to be able to apply for grants for Hoveness, then what are we going to do, or what are they going to do? Is there anything that we can do to continue providing them?
Connie will be speaking. Connie from Hoveness will be speaking and addressing that issue.
Okay.
During public comment.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Mayor. So kind of like Councilmember Resendez, I heard you say that the CDBG grant was for 229,000, and of that 213,000 were used.
Correct.
So where's the other 16,000
That is
or
dedicated to
13,000? I'm sorry.
Adams Ashby for administering the grant and working with staff to
Okay.
administer the grant.
Okay. And I assume that that at some point we can find a plan B for Meals on Wheels if the CDBG won't necessarily cover those expenses moving forward.
Correct.
Whether it be a general fund type of thing or.
Yes, we would need to work with them and figure out the stopgap funding mechanism, and then we ultimately, with your direction, have to bring it back to council for vote ultimately.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
I'd like to be proactive on that because this is a program we cannot afford any interruption in. And I can only speak for myself, but I support this 100% and would like to be ready to go in the event we need that stopgap measure. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I agree with Councilman Burns. This is an important program. This is feeding our community. We can't let this die or even get low. So I got my total support, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Glenn. So I'm going to open the public hearing on this item. City Clerk, do we have public comment?
Yes, Connie Padron.
Hello. Hi. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Connie Padron and I'm representing Jóvenes de Antaño. First of all, let me give you, for those of you who are new, let me give you a brief information about who we are and what we do. Jóvenes de Antaño is a nonprofit organization that was founded 47 years ago under the management and
Thank you.
under the management of founding member Pauline Valdivia. May she rest in peace. We still miss her, especially at this moment. She will be the one standing here. This agency was established to encourage, develop, and administer programs to improve the general welfare of the elderly in San Benito County. We provide several services, but the largest ones are the transportation programs, congregate meals, and home delivery meals. As the only senior serving organization in San Benito County, Jóvenes de Antaño plays a critical role in supporting the health and well-being of low-income older adults. One of those critical services is our Meals on Wheels program. As the only Meals on Wheels provider in San Benito County, we strive to support homebound seniors who are 60 years of age and older by providing them with a nutritionally balanced hot delivered meals. Support from the City of Hollister will provide us the opportunity to continue to address food insecurity, a continued and pressing community need. We are a small nonprofit that is not immune to the challenges magnified by the pandemic and the economy. The increase in food need continues to grow, and we do not see the need leveling off. For example, we are funded to provide 150 meals per day. However, because of the need is so great, we are currently providing an average of 240 meals per day. We are concerned about the lack of CDBG funding. Last fiscal year, we provided 48,293 meals to 230 unduplicated seniors. The need is increasing tremendously. As of today, we have currently over 30 people on a waiting list. CDBG funds 50 meals per day. If we do not receive this funding, we will have to stop providing those meals, and the waiting list will go up to 80 meals. As I mentioned before, there is both an increased need in community and funding gaps caused by delays in payment and insufficient reimbursement rates from some governmental contracts. Meanwhile, in order to maintain services to our current clients, the meals are being provided to those in need without the CDBG funding required to cover the extra expenses. If possible, we request that the city provide this funding to meet the increased needs of the community. We have applied and have been granting CDBG monies to fund 50 meals per day before, at least 3 times before. And we are hoping to be able to continue applying for these funds. I would like to thank you for your continued support to the seniors of San Benito County and Jóvenes de
you.
Antaño.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Do we have any other comment?
Yes, we have one online, Beth. I believe it's Beth Dodd. Is her hand raised?
Hi, yes. Hi.
Go ahead, please.
So I wanted to give a little clarification on the CDBG. There was supposed to be a 2023 NOFA coming out, which is Notice of Available Funding, but they backed that off till January. So at that time, we could apply for the public service for $250,000. But that will not be funded until November of 2024. So even if they did, even if the city was awarded for Jóvenes, you wouldn't see money until January of 25 even. So there is a significant gap that there's nothing we can do to close. So other than that, we're happy to help try to find some other programs that could help, but Jóvenes has been wonderful to work with, and it's an incredible program. I've gotten to see it in person, and Connie is doing a wonderful job. So you guys should all be very proud.
Thank you.
And those are all the public comments for this item.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing for this item. So council, do we have a discussion and deliberation? Councilmember Resendez?
Thank you. 100% in support of doing anything and everything we can to support one of our most vulnerable populations in the city, our senior citizens. Connie, it's good to see you. Great job. Thank you for continuing the legacy and the work of Miss Pauline Valdivia. We do miss her dearly. It's good to see that you are still there and you're helping to push this forward. Thank you so much. I also did hear Beth, I believe, say that we can try to find other ways to help them. It sounds like we need to do something for this year and possibly utilize her services to see if there's anything else out there that we can do, not just for this year, but we should be funding them every single year. And if that's not going to happen, whether it's through CBTG or through other services, then we have an obligation, I think, to help Jóvenes and one of the most vulnerable populations in our city. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns?
Thank you. I couldn't agree more with Councilmember Resendez. What I also heard is the numbers are blurring at the moment, but it sounds like there's already a gap in the funding and the need for the wait list. And so this is something I'm hoping people aren't going hungry, but if they are, we need to figure this thing out. And as a city, I think we have the ability to do this. And so I would ask that we fast track our interests, not necessarily the process, but to get moving on this. And it sounds like this could be a long-term thing that we're going to have to deal with. So I don't know. I find it interesting that the city engineer is tasked with this to present it. And so that to me is a little quirky. I don't understand the nexus, but yeah, I just want to get right on this, like right now. To me, this seems like priority one, based on the need of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Connie, for carrying the load. And you did great up there. And I totally support. And you know what? I'm glad that you went from 50 people on the waiting list to 30. That's great. And you know what? There's the thing about that age, our age group or the age group is it's going to get bigger. It's baby boomers. So you know what? Next year, how many people are, if we just go at the level we're at, you know, I know there's a capacity issue with the kitchen, only how much you can put out. But it's like, I think this is a really important topic itself. You know, our baby boomers is going into seniors, and it's going to be, the numbers are going to grow. It's not only just meeting your gap now and bringing those other 30 people on, but how, I think an important question to ask the council is, how can we ensure that this is going to, in 3 years, that they're not going to outgrow this kitchen? Because we also have, I think we have issues at the building. I'm not sure. Community or with the kitchen or something.
We've done work on the kitchen. We're now underway with engineering plans to get the bathrooms reworked, and then working with a donor to do some aesthetic work and some remodeling. So,
and unfortunately, I brought this topic up to previous staff about, you know, when we did do that, we should look into how we can service more people through Jóvenes. Unfortunately, it died. But you know what? I think it's something we can discuss, find a way to discuss, support them in their gap, and prepare them for the future with bigger numbers. Thank you so much for what you do. It's not just, that's what's beautiful about Hollister. It's like, we're not just looking out for our kids. We're looking out for our elders. And thank you so much for all your staff does for everybody out here, because I know so many adult seniors that, what other kind of seniors are there? Anyways, so many seniors that take advantage, that are getting fed from you guys. And so I see the need, I see what you do, and I see the greater need coming in the future that I'd like to have us prepare for. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, anything? Okay. So I just want to say one of the last
jobs that I had consulting before I retired was with Meals on Wheels of Contra Costa County. And I was fortunate enough to go on ride-alongs and meet some of the seniors and interview them. And I can't tell you, it's not even just the food that you provide, it's the social interaction. I mean, sometimes it was hard to leave. They didn't want you to leave because you're having such a good conversation. You do so much, and it's such an important program for our seniors. And so like everyone else up here, we want to support it as much as we can and figure out a way to fill that gap and provide going forward, because it sounds like the need is great. And I know the work you do here is just as important as what I saw up there. So thank you for all you do. So then I guess we'll go then to a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to item number 1. Resolution number 2023-190, a resolution of the City Council of City of Hollister authorizing the submission of the City of Hollister's response to the 2022-23 San Benito County Civil Grand Jury Report. City Manager, did you have a report for us?
Yes, thank you. So as you know, we received the final consolidated report of the 2022-23 San Benito County Civil Grand Jury that was released on July 14th of 2023. And so it requires a response by the governing body of the public agency that has been reviewed. So we are bringing this forward for your review and discussion and ultimate direction to submit with your vote this evening. If it passes, it is authorizing me to sign the letters and then submit them to the presiding judge as our formal response to the grand jury. We will then work with the presiding judge to make sure that our responses are posted to the public as well. We did that last year and intend to continue that tradition going forward. And so we did have 3 required responses, one for the fire department, one for the Animal Care and Services Division, along with one overall with traffic calming measures. And so as been past practice, we address a letter on each of those that aligns with each of the sections of the report of the grand jury. And so for fire, our fire chief is not available this evening. However, I do have our Fire Marshal Charlie Bedolla, as well as Battalion Chief Rodney Dover here in the audience, along with some of their team is here in the audience as well. For Animal Care and Services, I have Chief Reynoso along with Captain Rosie Battagno available for questions. And then for traffic calming, I do have our city engineer, Glenn March, along with our fire marshal, Charlie Bedolla, and Rodney Dover. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding any of the 3 responses. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? No? I don't think we have any questions then. All right, do we have public comment?
There are no public comments for this item.
All right, do we want any further discussion on this item? Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Mayor. So I would just like to thank the city manager and city staff for being honest and timely in their response. And I see tremendous value in the civil grand jury providing these annual reports. I think they serve a very valuable function in our community. And I would simply encourage anybody that has the time to volunteer. They're always lacking volunteers, and they serve a critical function in our community. And we've heard a lot of other really important things that we in Hollister do. I'd say this is equally important on a different level, and their reports make us better. And so thank you to the members of the current or past civil grand jury, because we're going to get better as a result of it. And we're already doing some amazing things as well. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Not really. He always steals all my stuff. All the good, anything good he says, it's mine.
Do you have anything, Vice Mayor? No, I don't have anything either, other than, can we get a motion to approve this item?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item G1, language interpretation options for public meetings. City Clerk, are you going to report out?
Yes, Mayor Mayor Casey and Council, I'm never gonna get it right. So this is in response to something that's come up at the previous meetings as of late, where there have been requests to provide language interpretation services for the members of our audience to be able to provide public comments. And so we looked into this, and there's a couple different options. One is to have in-person interpretation, which is what we have provided at the most recent meetings where it was requested. Here's some just different information for that. It does require 2 interpreters per meeting. The cost for that is approximately $125 per hour to $165 per hour, and there are 2 required throughout. Additional interpreters would be needed if we need different languages in addition to Spanish. The headsets are provided by the vendor. They are rented to us. We do need 72 hours notice typically to be able to have the in-person interpretation. This is to make sure that we have them on site, and they usually have them secured for us, but we like to confirm it with them. So we would need at least 72 hours notice. It's only available in the council chambers during the meeting. So anyone who wanted to participate via Zoom would not be able to receive that. And then it is billed at a per meeting basis based on the meeting length. So those are just, we got a couple quotes in advance of this meeting. And so that was the range for the interpretation costs. And then there's the additional travel, rental of the headsets, and additional fees. The other option is that the city could provide online interpretation. This is being done in a few different cities nearby. City of Modesto, City of Gilroy, Sunnyvale, Los Altos, I believe, is implementing right now. The interpretation is accessed via a permanent QR code, and that is placed not only on the public notice on the agenda, it's also available on the city's website. Any member of the public who wishes to access it can do it via a smartphone, or they can also do it via their computer at home. So it's available from any location. And then for some of them that we've looked at, all the languages that are offered by those services are available at any time. So for example, one of them we looked at was Wordly. I believe that 38 languages. You can switch back and forth to be able to see the different ones. You can get a meeting transcript. It's something that they can provide upon request. We do not require notice for this. We could do it for any meeting. And if we wanted to, we could do it for all of our meetings if you were so desired. And then finally, when we started looking at quotes for it, for Wordly specifically, the first year was around $12,000 for the first 100 hours and around $15,500 for subsequent years. Other services, some were more like 18,000, some were a little higher, some a little less. And then that does have a discount. So for that first year, and then additional hours can be purchased. That was only for the first 100 hours. If we wanted to expand it to other boards and commissions, we could do that as well. So I do have a couple videos if you're interested in seeing them. One is a screen recording that I did just of my phone and doing it. This first one is, they're both of Wordly. You know what the in-person looks like. So what you do is you log on, and then you can see it first in English. And then I changed, after I kind of figured it out, looked at it for a second, then I changed the language on it. You can see some of the different ones that are offered: Portuguese, Polish, Romanian, Tagalog, Chinese. And so there are all their different options. There is also an option, it's not playing it out loud here, but it is also can be audio. So you can do that. It does take 5 to 10 seconds to switch it, but actually when you switch it, the written one does switch immediately on this one. And so you can see I did it here, and then I did another one a little bit later, scrolling through it, so that you can see how that works. So this is how it would show up on a smartphone. Thank you, Paul. This is how it would show up on a smartphone. It's very similar on the computer. Unfortunately, the screen recording didn't work to be able to show you that, but it's very similar. You're seeing it there. Okay. The other one that I did is, this is for the city of Sunnyvale. The city of Sunnyvale actually has a monolingual commissioner on their Human Relations Commission. It does not want to start. There it goes. And so they actually have it where it goes the full time as a result. And so let me get to 38. You can see a little bit how this one looks. Theirs is running at all times due to that member of their commission that needs the translation throughout.
And definitely a support from the community. So what want to do now is
she's kind of loud on there. That's the speaker. But you can see theirs is running two at the same time and it's on their screen. So you can see the English on the left and the Spanish on the right. So we probably wouldn't recommend doing this if the council decides to go forward with something like the online one. We wouldn't have it on the screen at all times. It can be a little bit, much going on, but just to give you an idea that is also a possibility. So before you tonight is just, we're seeking direction on whether you would like us to come back with an agreement for either online or in-person interpretation services for our council meetings.
Jennifer, if I could just chime in, whatever option we decide going, we would have clear language on the front page of our agenda of how to access, how to access that said service. And as far as the first product that she showed with audio, we would be supportive of purchasing a handful of listening devices that we could pass out, similar to the group that passes out the headphones and the little RF transmitters that they're using. So that way, if someone did not have a phone, we would have something available for them to use.
Answer my question. Okay, so do we have any questions from council on this? Councilmember Resendez?
Wow. I am so impressed. So a couple of questions. Number one, do they need to sign up for an account? I'm just talking about the online one.
No account is needed. All I did was go on to, I used the city of Gilroy. I went onto their website. They
Yeah.
had the link there. I clicked it. It opened it right up, as you saw on that one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Number two, I did have a question about headphones. So if people were to come, then we would tell them they need to have their own headphones, or we would purchase devices for them to have headphones here if they didn't have a cell phone.
Yes, we can look into those options. We would want to probably have some sort of collateral. We may ask them to give us an ID or
Sure.
whatever it may be ahead of time, but we can look into that as well.
And the third point that I learned today that I'm so impressed by, if we have someone who doesn't speak English that lives in our district that wants to sit on a commission, they can now sit on a commission and have full translation for every single meeting.
Yes, I spoke with the Sunnyvale City Clerk at length about that and kind of what their process was. They're one of the first that has been able to do this, where it's for all meetings throughout. And so I've talked to him quite a bit to see how they go about doing that, making sure various things are translated for that commissioner.
I am so impressed. I really am. I'm blown away by this. I didn't know that this existed. I heard the city of Gilroy is doing something like this. Good job to you guys. Thank you for bringing this back so quickly. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Burns?
Thank you. City Clerk, would the in-person version be available for all the other commissions that we have if we desire to? What I'm thinking about particularly would be like the Planning Commission.
Absolutely.
so-
We could enter into a contract with them to reach out to them on an as-needed basis. Depending on how soon ahead of the meeting, we let them know there is an additional fee if it's last minute, according to them. We also have the option of expanding the number of hours if we wanted to for Wordly or another such service, where right now the quote was for 100 hours, but we could expand that to 150 or beyond, depending on what the council desires.
And that would also apply to the in-person with, I think you said somewhere between 125 and 150 per hour, minimum 2 hours.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And how would this impact, regardless of the direction of the council,
Mhm.
how would this impact the city council agendas being released, knowing that there's, you said 72 hours advance notice, so that would mean that the packet would have to go out at minimum the Thursday before the Monday meeting?
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons I'm happy about that idea, is that make sure we get the council packets out in a timely manner. We would absolutely want to make sure we got it out at least 96 hours in advance to make sure people had the option and the opportunity to be able to let us know if they needed interpretation services.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate
Council
that.
member, if I could just clarify, that would be if we went the headphones hiring the service. If you went the more AI approach, then we just simply say, we want to buy more hours. And then that tool becomes available for all of the meetings. And we're not dependent on someone needing to call in and needing to let us know they need translation services. What can happen is someone could call in and need translation services and then have life come up and not make the meeting. And I'm going to pay for the person to sit in the room, and it could be a 6-hour meeting and you're going to pay for them to sit there the whole time. The other component that Jennifer showed the video of, it's basically, we're just paying for the hours of the video. And if 100 people use it, great. If two people use it, great. To Councilmember Resendez's point, you don't need an account, so it's not something that we're asking for your name and all of that. You just go on and use it. And you can listen to it as well.
Thanks. That did trigger one additional question for the city clerk. When you did your research on this and spoke with the other jurisdictions that are using one form or another, did they discuss how they arrived at their decision based on their community's needs? And how would that be relevant to our needing to know to make a informed decision?
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, one of the reasons that they went with the AI option was the ability to translate into other languages. Several of the counties that I spoke, or several of the clerks I spoke to are in Santa Clara County, where you have various other, speakers. It's not just Spanish. We have a large Spanish population, Spanish speaking population here, but they wanted to make sure that it was available for other languages as well, which is why they went with the AI option. And also the ability to be able to have it for every meeting and for all of those different languages offered. That was why they went with it. It was also the ease of use and implementation and the ability that if requested, we could get a transcript. If someone came after and said, I wasn't able to attend, we could request a transcript in that language and provide to them.
And if I understand it, if we, again, regardless of which service we were to select, we would commit for 1 year, and then we would have data to show how much it was truly needed so that we could then adjust it moving forward to more or less or none.
I would have to check in with the software services to find out if there's a way of them telling how many people actually log on to it. Because it's set up by the clerk, we would start it at the start of the meeting. It's not a per user basis. So I'd have to check in with them to see if they're able to provide that sort of data.
Perfect. Yeah, for me, that's really I'm willing to try anything for a year. And then I want to be able to make a wise decision the next year to make sure we're meeting the needs of the community, but not overspending if we don't need to. So thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you.
Councilmember Perez, any questions? Vice Mayor?
So it sounded like the two options, the in-person and the AI. Did you get, when you talked to the various jurisdictions, did they say anything about whether the people utilizing the services, if they preferred the in-person or the AI, or if they felt like they were like singled out because they were wearing the headphones or the ease of the usability? Because sometimes some people aren't sure, and somebody has to show them how to do it the first time, and then after that they're fine. And then does it also translate the materials like on the website from like English to Spanish?
Okay, so I'll start with the first one. So they hadn't looked at both options. They had provided in-person translation at previous meetings, but they hadn't looked at the comparison. It really went to the cost savings is why a lot of them did the AI, and also the ease of use and ability to do multiple languages. When it came to the headphones, most of those who are using the translation people are looking at it on their phones. They're not using the audio. So they did provide headphones. I believe Gilroy did provided headphones, but they didn't remark on that. They said they had them, but most people used it on their phones. There are instructions that we would provide in Spanish on our agendas to be able to explain how to access it. We could also create a video similar to what I did there that we could put on our website if the council would like us to do that too.
Jennifer, if I may add, one of the good things that tool has the ability to do is by having the multiple languages. Typically what you'll see in jurisdictions is there's some sort of language threshold, right? So 2%, and I'm just going to use an example, 2% of the population in Hollister may speak Vietnamese. This allows that 2%. If they want to use the software, great. It's not we got to get to 20% before we make an investment. You can use it for all of those languages. The audio component is good because not everybody can read. And so that gives you the ability where we can provide some assistance here in the chambers, and they can listen and listen along to the meeting or read if they can. The other piece is by using a web-enabled device, which would, a little mini tablet, something real, you don't need anything fancy. I mean, your cheapest tablet will do. You're not dependent on the technology that's typically used with those headsets, which is it's a RF transmitter where basically they're transmitting a very weak radio signal that all of those folks are picking up. I have been to countless meetings in other jurisdictions where it didn't work very well, and you see people fumbling around with them, and it kind of completely defeats the purpose. We've been fortunate to not experience that here since I've been there, but I have seen that personally many times. Sometimes the technology just doesn't work very well.
Okay, and then the final question from Councilmember Morales, the written interpretation. So it does not provide that. It's only doing the audio translation. So we could look into that separately. But initially we were just looking at for our public meetings.
So I just want to clarify. Good job, by the way. Thank you for providing different options for us. But so we've got the in-person, which is more expensive. We have to give notice and we may or may not get people. So yeah. And then we've got the AI option, which is much more economical. We have flexibility. We can do it at a moment's notice if we need to. And every language is available out there as an option, right? Or most
I
languages.
believe it's
A
38
lot of language. I won't say
Yeah.
every language. So it's like, okay, I just wanted to make sure I was hearing right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, if I may ask, and Jennifer, just to clarify, they can access that from anywhere. So if they're watching the meeting at home,
Yes.
they could follow along with the translation services at home. They wouldn't have to be on Zoom. They could watch our YouTube feed or whatnot.
Yes, that's correct. All you do is you log on using the web address and you can do it. So for the Gilroy one, I was trying to do a screen recording for their meeting tonight here, but it wasn't. The technology failed on my end, not on their end. So I was able to see it. Everyone that was in here heard the different languages coming. I did the audio. I did all of those things. So it's anywhere you can do it since it's web-based.
Thank you. You have another question?
I just wanted to clarify something. I've heard the conversation. And so recently we've had council chambers full of folks and some spoke primarily Spanish as their primary language. And so how would this work when somebody comes up to the podium and with AI versus a real person that can hear what they're saying, pause them, and then translate it from Spanish to English for those of us that only speak English?
Thank you. That was another point I wanted to make. So you would all be able to do it as well. We would most likely have it loaded onto your laptops beforehand so that you could log on to it. You would put it in and you would click English and then it would translate for you. So throughout most of the meeting, you would just see it in English, same as what you were hearing. But then when it needed to be translated, you would be able to see it in English on your screens.
And if someone was still comfortable having their own translator and we throw 6 minutes on the clock, that's fine too.
Okay, if we don't have more questions, then let's take public comment on this. Do we have any?
There are no public comments for this item.
Okay, so deliberation. What are people's thoughts? Councilmember Resendez.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns just asked my last two questions. So thank you for that, Councilmember Burns. I was wondering, how would this work if we've got somebody at the podium and you guys answered that? I remember we had a gentleman who was Korean talking about his liquor store and how his business was impacted. This AI option would resolve that. If we went with to me, it's like an old school versus a new school situation. If we went with the old school situation, we'd have to let them know that we need a Korean translator here in person. We'd have to get notice and we'd have to pay them. And if we went the new school, we don't have to get notice. We already contracted with them. We don't have to get a translator. That's pretty impressive to me. So to me, it seems pretty straightforward that I would definitely support the AI version that everybody else is using. And I would like to see, I heard you mention this, for us to do a little bit of a push, a little bit of a media push so that our Korean residents, our Vietnamese residents, our Filipino residents, our Spanish speaking residents know that we have translation services available. And if we can do a couple of how-to videos as well. You guys do a phenomenal job with all of these things. So I don't doubt that you wouldn't do a great job at advertising this, but I just wanted to make mention of that because if people don't know we have that, they don't know we have that. So if we could do a little bit of a media push, how-to videos, show them the devices, walk them through it. I'm really excited about this. Thank you. And again, I 100% support the AI. And I would like to come back and have the conversation again in a year to see how much it's being utilized. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. So if we choose, well, I guess regardless, we choose did I see where the AI, the original cost is for 100 hours?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and there's capacity increase for an additional cost.
Yes.
So if we wanted to do the whole meeting,
Mhm.
it feels to me, do we have a sense for the average council meeting, how long it goes?
So I did the math with them. So I did ask them for an additional 50 hours at the same discounted cost for the first year that we can tap into to have up to 150 hours for that first year. And then we can also negotiate beyond that if we want to.
Okay.
I didn't want to do too many versus too few. You never quite know. But the other thing that in kind of looking at it is to make sure you understand. So it will be for the whole council meeting. So we likely wouldn't do it before closed session. You know, it's up to the council. We can do it, but that's an hour and a half, an hour that potentially not really being utilized. So we would start it, we being me, I would start it at the start of the regular meeting, or if it's a special meeting, we would do that. And then it would be for the whole meeting, whether or not it was actually utilized by anyone here in the audience or anyone doing it at home. That's what allows us to be able to have that transcript after the fact.
I really
So-
like that fact. And so, first of all, let me say, 150 hours, I'm up for it. I can get us to that. That's a benchmark. Now you've given me a goal. And so I'm good with that. I would like to suggest that the council consider doing this also for planning commission meetings. I think the planning commission makes a lot of very critical decisions that help to drive the development of this community. And for me, I think that would be additional time as well. And money well spent, I think. And so thank you again. This is amazing. As an old school guy, Councilmember Resendez, I was leaning towards the in public, in person, but I have been influenced and persuaded that AI is the way to go. And who says you can't teach an old dog AI? Thank you.
Councilmember Perez, anything to add?
It's straightforward, no brainer. AI, let's go.
Vice Mayor, anything to add?
No, I'm in agreement. I think that it's important to just notify the community that this is what we're doing. So I would, I agree with council member that it would be important just to inform our community of whatever method is effective. Absolutely.
And I agree. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, the flexibility and the economics of it makes sense. So I think you pretty much everyone AI.
Okay.
So
So what we'll do is we'll continue getting a couple more quotes for artificial intelligence interpretation, and then we'll plan to bring that back at the next council meeting.
thank you. All right, so our second item. Oh, reports from city council members on committees they serve on. Who would like to start?
I have no committees to report on. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Burns, do you have anything to report?
None at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Perez,
I have nothing to report.
nothing, Vice Mayor? I can, or you can. Why don't you cover it and I'll just show the pretty plaque.
So we had a couple of important meetings. We had, for COG, we had the California Transportation Commission come, do a 2-day tour. We, in my opinion, was a successful town hall meeting where we had Speaker Rivas come in and basically share a lot of our pain points from the number of hours that it takes to commute to Santa Clara or Monterey, to the number of deaths, the safety, the equity, bringing a lot of stories about like how it impacts our economic development and how we provide food for the nation and Canada. And so I think that the panels really spoke to what we hear from our community in terms of just the impact that it has, how we are kind of the lifeline to the rest of the country, and how it is essential that we have money allocated to fix our roads. And we're talking about 101, 25, 156, 152. The next day, we actually went to go see all the roads, and the committee, COG, really was thoughtful about when we went. So we went during traffic, of course, so they can experience the traffic for themselves. We visited the roundabout. We talked about the challenges. We talked about how we're going to be educating our community on the roundabout. And We know and understand that it's going to be a challenge at first, but we're already hearing from the community, this is according to COG, that it's already saving about 20 minutes from commute time. In addition to that, the city of Hollister received, we also, had a great barbecue from CAL FIRE. We know that probably our county fire will probably do a better barbecue, but we did get a barbecue from CAL FIRE. They were very gracious and spoke to the airport. We also received a beautiful plaque from the commission and COG. And now we're working on a workshop for Highway 25, just to be able to see where we are and where we need to go. So in all, we made a lot of really good connections. We had our neighboring partners, San Juan Bautista and the county of San Benito there with us. And we showed a united front that we're ready to do the work. And that includes going to Sacramento and lobbying and doing what we need to do to make sure that the number one priority for our residents is addressed and resolved. Do you like to add anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that this was kind of unprecedented. I don't know that the California Transportation Commission has ever come to San Benito County to take a look at our roads and talk to us. So just getting them there, I was amazed the COG staff was able to do that. And then we had a lot of Caltrans folks as well. So it was a really important event. And I think that everyone was working together very well and really made the case for this is where we are. This is what we need. And I think that the commissioners, we had a chance to do a lot of one-on-one with them because they were here for 2 days and sitting on a bus and talking to them. And I think they really understand what we're dealing with. And it's important because they set funding priorities. So we wanted them to see how important this is and why our region is so important, because as Councilmember Morales said, we are part of the salad bowl. We feed, the country, we feed Canada. And we're also, one of the farmers who spoke as a part of our panel was talking about us being a turnstile, because you've got folks from Salinas and Monterey coming up and trying to get goods out. So, we're an important place. And I think they walked away with that perspective. And I think that's going to help us as we plan to move forward with Highway 25 and working on options and funding and everything else. So that's all I've got on that. What did you have more?
I think just to mention that we're going to host, so the city of Hollister is going to be hosting the Mobility Partnership. The Mobility Partnership is a collaboration with Morgan Hill, Gilroy, County of San Benito, and the city of Hollister. So we're going to be hosting in November here in our chambers. And it was important that they come here because we want to have the Morgan Hill and Gilroy elected officials experience our roads. When we talk about projects, they really don't have an understanding of where things are. And we'd like them to experience our beautiful roads and the time it gets to get here. Looking forward to that.
And the only other thing to report, it's not necessarily a committee, but I did want to mention the Junior Giants and the dedication that we had for the Anthony DeSclafani softball field. And I just wanted to shout out to the Parks and Rec for a great job in organizing it, and to our fire department who fed everybody. It was a great day. And we had a couple of classes come out from Sacred Heart School who sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And of course, having Anthony there, as well as Amy G was there kind of moderating for us. And it was a beautiful day and there was a lot of folks who came out. So just thank you to everybody who put that together. It was wonderful.
Mayor, if I may, in regard to the Giants, Tina has a few proclamations that were given out. And so, maybe a good opportunity to share with the council, since
Great.
We are reporting on that. And I'd also like to just point out I'm really proud. It was a extremely large effort of the entire city, starting from, it was a grant for $100,000 that turned into $50,000 with a request for a match. And your council came up with those funds and made that investment. And I think every department had a role in it. There was painting, there was fences that were put up. There was a real big beautification effort to put, sometimes just a little elbow grease here and there really adds up. And I thought it looked just absolutely tremendous. William and his team were out there filling potholes. There was a couple little potholes and we want to make it a nice driveway up for the event and fire and the great barbecue they had and just working with, it was an accelerated schedule to get that park renovated throughout the summer, and they had a very tight time frame. So our building department, planning, just about everybody, PD, everybody was out there, and everybody played a key role in it. And I'm just proud to have a team that really just kind of just came together and got it done. And I think we even had some Dodger fans there, but they still showed up and supported it, and it was a great event. So Tina, if you want to just take a second, just show the items.
Yes, we had a certificate of recognition from Speaker Robert Rivas for the city of Hollister in regards to the dedication of the Anthony DeSclafani Junior Giants Field at Park Hill. Along with the city of Hollister's Parks and Recreation Department, we also received a certificate of recognition. And then from our Senator Ana Caballero, we also received a certificate of recognition for the dedication to the Anthony DeSclafani Junior Giants Field. So just like City Manager Marioni said, it was an effort on all of us, city staff, from council. So thank you. Our community loves it. And now they're asking about the barbecue area. So that's our next mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Mayor, I have a quick question if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
So Tina, where are we going to display those bad boys?
Which, oh, these, okay, these are bad boys right here.
Yeah, maybe you
Thinking a
could,
bad
maybe,
boy, like,
maybe you could put them up so you could see them on camera there, Tina.
this, am I facing this way?
Yeah, there you go.
This is our certificate from Senator Caballero on behalf of the dedication. And then we have one from Speaker Rivas. It's dedicated to the city of Hollister. Parks and Recreation Department has a place at the community center. And then I'll discuss it with City Manager Marioni or where we'd like to display it here at City Hall.
Yeah.
Perfect. I just, it's really a great coming together of many different entities and all of the city staff. And it's something that doesn't happen, that we as a city get the public recognition that staff is deserving of. So I just want to see them in a bookcase somewhere or in a display case in a corner of a building that nobody will see them. I think city staff should truly be proud of this effort moving forward. So
We'll be
thank you.
getting them framed and put up here at City Hall, and then Tina has a pretty good collection of them going over at the Parks and Rec Department. And there's one specifically for her department that'll be.
And I'm
placed
also
there.
wondering if they could maybe go on the city website somewhere. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank
Yes.
you.
Since we're talking Giants, if I may. I mean, I don't know, now it's a discussion. It's like, I thought this was,
Yeah, if this is gonna be a full-on
that's what
discussion,
I'm
we
saying.
need to
It's like, how
have,
far are we gonna go with this?
yeah, we need to have it agendized.
Getting to informationals so we can
Yeah,
speak
we'll
on
get
this?
through information reports next. So Councilmember Resendez.
Thank you. It looks like this council used some of my discretionary funds and agreed to giving the HDA some money for the Day of the Dead event. Could we potentially get like a digital flyer from them, and can we spread that? It's the first time that I've ever heard of a Dia de los Muertos event here, and get that advertised well.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. I had a inquiry, city clerk, about the youth commissioner, arts and culture application. Do we have one pending? And if so, is that coming back at the next meeting?
Yes, we have one for the Youth Commission and also one that we just received for Parks and Rec that I'll be sending out to the council to review and make recommendations at the following meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns, do you have some things?
Of course I do, Mayor. Thank you. So I would ask the council support in recognizing 3 longstanding small businesses in our community that are amazing and were resilient to get through the pandemic as well. And I love the name on this first one. And I, unfortunately, my waistline will show that I visit it frequently. It's Spud Nuts Donuts. That's a great name. Colonial Cleaners and Postal Graphics. And so I would ask council support to move forward with the certificate of appreciation. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Perez.
And can we add to that list? I don't know if anyone, I don't know how many people know Ken Lindsay. But to me, it's like you have Colonel Hall, self-proclaimed Colonel Hollister, and then you have Ken Lindsay. He brought industrial to our industrial parks. He made these industrial parks. You know, he's been significant in moving Hollister forward. I'd like to give some type of special recognition to him. I wanted to see him recognized at the 150th, but he wasn't able to do that either. So if we could do that. Also, Bulldog Boxing. He's been teaching boxing for 3 decades now. Those two. But now I can talk Giants. You know, it was awesome. It was so awesome. You're right. It was staff, city staff, everywhere in anyone in Hollister. You know who we didn't mention? The little kids. Who it was really about, the kids, the junior Giants, yes. But you know what? Those kids getting up there, seeing, I forgot who it was, had them sing, Take Me Out to the ball game, ballpark. It was really neat ball game. Yeah, I'm a real baseball fan. You know what? I was thinking back to what Rob was saying. And you know what? If you ever want to go get some peace of mind, go for a little walk up on Park Hill. You have the most spectacular view. Even Anthony Descafani was saying, you know, it's standing at the podium or standing at or facing the field and looking out. It is such a beautiful, we live in such a beautiful part of this country. It's really amazing. So that also, you know what, we were able to go to the groundbreaking for the sewer main force coming from San Juan. And to me, it's been a spectacular week. I've been able to volunteer with the fair. I've been able to go to Junior Giants and the groundbreaking. And I am seeing such a nice turn, or we're going in such a great direction. At the groundbreaking, it was, you had federal, state, county, city, USDA, all working together for the good of our community and the other communities, because we're all pretty much one community. But and the Junior Giants, you know, Tina and staff, it's like they do such a great job. The girls are so awesome. Summer and Autumn, yes, I always have problems. But anyways, you know, they're always there doing what they need to do, and more. But it's been really so, for me personally, to see all these entities and agencies working together. And then after that, going to the fair and being able to participate and support our city by standing at a booth. Okay, I was playing with the kids. But you know what, it's a great feeling. And it's not just here in me, you see it in the people walking around the streets. So I just wanted to say thank you. And you know what, we do, Tim Burns, you're right. We do need more volunteers for our ad hocs, for our committees, for not ad hocs, for all of our committees, our park and recs. You know, it's so people of Hollister, step up. Let's go. Let's move this.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I'm not sure if this was already asked, but to bring back in a timely manner the in lieu of fees for the candidate statement for the races. Also for this council to consider putting on the ballot a change instead of a 2-year term to a 4-year term for the mayor race. I know that we've talked about it. I can't remember what year it was, but an update on the infrastructure projects to kind of just get a report back on that, whether it's a presentation or just a report back on it. Follow up on the ADUs. I know we talked about the fees a while ago, but I just wanted to see where that was. And then maybe an ongoing status report on the vacant positions.
Okay. I don't have too much to add, really. I know, they're working on a tree policy. Is that right? For replanting?
That'll be coming at the next meeting,
It's coming what?
at our next meeting.
Because I was gonna say, fall's a great time to plant trees, because they have the time to get through winter and get established. Just saying. And I know you said vacant building ordinance is coming back fairly soon. I thought I saw something on your chart about the end of October. Is that right?
We're working on it. We're working with our consultant and getting their scope amended to cover it. So maybe a little later than the end of
Okay.
August, but we're
Okay.
October, but we are working.
Dates are good. And speaking of that, so I know we had a conversation about roadways and paving, and for me, infrastructure and the roadways is so important. And I think I'm still learning about the wheels of government turn very slowly. And I was under the impression we were already doing some of our slurry seal and that the paving and the alleyways were going to be moving forward. But my understanding is that's not going to happen now until next spring. Is that right? I guess I'm asking if we can get some kind of a timeline so we know what to expect and have, so that we can make sure they move forward. Because I know the alleyways has been a multi-year project, and I know we've got the budget allocated, right? So what can we do?
We will be bringing the pavement, a presentation on the 2024 citywide pavement project and the other projects in hope to get a little direction with that one, the slurry seal project. Those roads have been identified. With your direction at the 6th, we will have the bid documents prepared and put out for bid, which we would come back when that is done, with the hopes of having that work bid out and awarded and started in the spring.
That's for the slurry seal.
It would
project, right?
also be for the slurry seal, you had
the
the
bigger CIP.
2022 slurry seal project. That's one where the bids were rejected a few times.
Okay.
And then we got grant funding from the COG. And
Right.
so we've been going through that process, getting it approved at the state to use their $600,000 rather than our $600,000.
That
So
sounds
that
good.
that will be bundled with whatever you approve
Right.
when we bring us a recommendation for the 2024 construction, and then that'll all be bid out as a package.
And that will include the Lad Lane restriping. Is that correct? Or-
We will bring
you have to
concepts
still-
for discussion.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay, that's all I had. So do we have any other informational reports? City manager, did you have anything?
If I could just circle back and I heard HDA Flyer will be working with Omar on that. You gave direction tonight, so I'll be working on, I have the authority to finish an amendment with them, and we'll get that out as soon as they have it complete. If I can just get consensus, I'm gonna go through the 5 businesses that were mentioned. So I heard Spud Nuts. I think I see. I think I see it there. Colonial Cleaners. Postal Graphics. Ken Lindsay. Bulldog Boxing.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then bringing back an item for the signature in lieu of fees.
Mhm. Yes.
Thank you. Can we get some clarity? What is that? What are we talking about? Bringing back an item for the signature in lieu for the candidate statement?
So, and I may ask the clerk to give a better explanation of what the signature in lieu fee process is. Our city currently does not have one. And so the county does and other cities do. It would be something that would have to be adopted by the council, and pass it back over to
Okay.
Jennifer, just give a quick update.
Yes, so currently you typically have to get 20 signatures for confirmed signatures for your nomination papers. Signature in lieu would allow you to pay either no or a reduced fee for your candidate statements with an additional number of signatures that are validated by the registrar of voters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bringing back an item to discuss and to put a 4-year term for the mayor on the ballot. Infrastructure projects, just mentioned that'll be coming on the 6th, if that suffices.
Mhm.
ADU fees, so I'll work with our development services director on that. Vacant positions, we can put together a report that's maybe we'll just attach it with monthly, like we do with the budget report and the warrant registers. With our new system, that should be, I won't speak for Casey, but it should be relatively easy to put together. And then I gave an update on vacant buildings and infrastructure we covered. So that's all I have.
Awesome. City Attorney, do you have anything to report? Chief, do you have anything for us?
I just wanted to mention that this Wednesday, we're gonna have another coffee with the cop at Calaveras Coffee Shop on the 1700 block of Airline Highway from 10 a.m. to noon. If anyone wants to stop by, we'll be out there talking to the people and have some good coffee. Thank you.
Okay, City Clerk, did you have anything?
Nothing to report.
And Paul, anything? No? We have no unfinished business, so can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Meeting's now adjourned. I think you missed public comment. We thought you left and public comment was taken and you came back later. Sorry, sir.